to Digital Business. I'm Nigel Fennick, and today I'm talking to the Global Chief Digital Officer at Mars, Sandeep Dadlani. Let's just dive in. If I could ask you just give us an introduction to your role at Mars. What's the Chief Digital Officer at Mars? What does that role look like? What are you responsible for? Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing.
So, Nigel, Mars is an interesting company. It's about a $40 billion family-owned private company. Our largest businesses are actually in pet care, and then in confectionery and healthy snacking, and then personalized nutrition. About 3 years back, I was hired into this role of Chief Digital Officer in a role where we would leverage technology, analytics, experiences to drive the company at a pace which we framed as 100 times faster. So if there's one word to describe the mandate of this role, it's simply 100x. And I'm fortunate to get this opportunity to help drive this company faster. I feel this is an interesting challenge because this is a large business, it's a global business, and it's a very human company. The family culture is ripe for embracing new ideas, new innovation, and frankly, this new speed. So yeah, enjoying it so far.
So I'm a big race car fan, and because hearing you talk about 100 times faster makes me think about Formula One and how much sort of the motor racing industry has just transformed over the years. So really interested to dig into this. One of the questions I get asked a lot about, especially around digital teams and digital organizations and the role of Chief Digital Officer, is sort of the organizational structure and kind of the relationship between digital and IT and marketing. Could you talk a little bit about how things are structured in your organization, and particularly sort of the reporting lines for IT and how you think about whether everybody is responsible for going faster or it's just a particular team?
No, great question. So what I inherited was as an IT team of fantastic leaders. There are CIOs of our respective businesses. So CIO for Mars Wrigley, CIO for Pet Care, CIO for Food, etc. There is a VP of Infrastructure and Support that does a fabulous job just keeping the lights on for the organization. We also have a CISO, Chief Information Security Officer. What we've put in place is a truly digitally native talent. We put in a head of user centricity. This was a new group for Mars that really focuses on listening carefully to the consumer, to the end user, to frame unmet, unstated needs, and a group under her. We also put in place a VP of Digital Demand and Analytics to start the massive analytics movement. And we also put in an intelligent automation hub and an API hub and a chief enterprise architect. The idea of infusing these new roles and calling them both digital and IT, it didn't matter what we want to call them, was that then these roles, all of them put together, would go drive digital to every part of Mars, would form digital talent and federate it out to the whole of Mars, so that every associate at Mars could feel that they're all digital. Digital is not just for that digital department. And right. I'm a brand manager, I'm a warehouse worker. We want all the 126,000 associates at Mars and growing to be all digital. And that's the agenda and the role and the structure we have created. At the end, Nigel, org structures are just a method. They're like the furniture in my home. Every 6 months, my wife is not happy with it, so we change it all over again. The idea is to use the org structure to drive great leadership in all parts of Mars. And that's what we're on. That's the journey we've been on.
So it sounds like we've written about sort of digital acceleration teams over the years. It sounds like you're almost taking the approach of the entire team's an acceleration team. We want everybody to be on this journey together. You've got this sort of centralized user centricity team. I think the question I hear a lot is, how do we make sure we get uniform experiences across all of our brands? So you've got the centralized team that's presumably working with the federated business units. Can you talk a little bit more about how that relationship works with the business units? Because that's often a source of conflict. So I'm really interested in that, how you've kind of managed that.
So Nigel, the way we framed the question on how does each associate become digital was a very simple framework, perhaps too simplistic for many organizations. We said you find the problem in your context, leveraging user centricity, leveraging design thinking. You solve it using analytics, AI, machine learning, technology, etc. And once you solved it, you scale it using automation so that you can free yourselves up to find the next problem. And so if you keep spinning this engine around fast enough, each one of you in any part of Mars can go digital. So once we framed this simple digital engine concept, then we said every part of this digital engine needs to be owned by you, Mr. Brand Manager, Mr. Regional General Manager, Mr. Sales Head, Miss Logistics Head, and so on. And the way we did that, let's take an example of the user centricity team. The user centricity team is literally 7 people strong, but these are amazing, I'm going to say liberal arts graduates, right-brained people. They're left-brained as well, but their right brain shows up a lot more. They meet the consumer, emote and feel with the consumer, and unlock unstated needs. But what they also do is they have unleashed the movement on the rest of Mars and gotten everybody inspired, excited through a groundswell movement to join the UC movement. And today, 17,000 associates through a combination of workshops, UC champions, coaching clinics, and really solving problems in their own context have become UC fans. The difference between a lot of failed movements I've been part of in my past career, I've done a lot of consulting around the world, and this is we did not try and dictate and govern how to spread this movement through math or structure. We actually allowed this movement to go bottoms up through inspiration, curiosity, and excitement. One of my gurus, Bruce Springsteen, once said, you can't start a fire without a spark. And this is the spark. The UC movement literally did what the boss said, light a spark.
So it's the Bruce Springsteen School of Management. I like that. That's great. Were there any things that you felt that you needed to do to add fuel to that spark in terms of trying to nurture it and encourage it?
Absolutely. I think the big learnings we got was celebration of early successes and failures. So every Friday we used to hold a call which says, where did you F up this week? And everybody would join that call from all parts of the business because it seemed like, just the title of that call, think about it, it seemed like a safe call. This call won't be political, it won't be turf wars. You're supposed to come in, it's almost like Alcoholics Anonymous. You come in and say, where did you F up this week? Movements like this have to be made, now that I have learned through failure and some success, fun, engaging, and human.
Great conversation. And this conversation with Sandeep, we heard about the role of the Chief Digital Officer at Mars and how Sandeep is working to leverage technology, analytics, and experiences to drive the company 100 times faster. We also talked about the importance of driving digital thinking across the entire enterprise and how you can use the org structure, which are constantly changing, to actually drive great leadership across all points of the organization. You have to think about the entire tech team as a digital team, not trying to have one team that's just focused on digital and everybody else focused on all the boring stuff. Focus on user centricity. That customer obsession comes through clearly with that conversation with Sandeep. Find the problem in your context, leveraging user centricity and design thinking. Solve it using analytics, AI, and machine learning. And once you've solved it, scale it using automation so you can free up resources to find the next problem. Get momentum with a user centricity team. Sandeep's team's only 7 people, but deeply empathetic with the customer. And follow the Bruce Springsteen School of Management. Don't try and start a fire without a spark. More to come. Thanks, Sandeep. This is Digital Business. I'm Nigel Fennick.